He loved every bit of it. He had a front row seat, did Sydney Stat.
A little bit of pinchy, a little bit of pulley. Look, a little bit of a pinch under the flab of the armpit there.
Himmelberg to Deledio, outside of the boot, 3 in a row, the miracle goal from the old man.
Hello, I'm Damien Barrett and welcome to Access All Areas, brought to you by Virgin Australia. Opponents high-fiving, increased security at Marvel, pinching, stomping, Freo firing. At Townsville Thriller, there's a fair bit to talk about, Matthew Lloyd and Jimmy Bartell.
Sure is, Damo. I'll go all the way back to Thursday night, and watching the Crows, you just get a sense that they're really starting to roll and get some momentum, and that's off the back for me, Lloydie, the senior players. You talk about the Crouch brothers, Tex looks in good touch, and that back six looks so sure behind the ball.
They do, and I've been slow to come around to Ross Lyon and the Fremantle Dockers, but 100 points on the weekend against Port Adelaide. It was a tough game, but they broke out in the last quarter. Walters, we'll talk about him later on. Fife's going on, but the kids, Brayshaw, I think he's playing really well, and Sean Darcy's game was brilliant as well.
Sense of belief about what they've done the last 3 weeks. Fierce and brutal was the way the first 3 quarters played out in Tassie yesterday between North Melbourne and GWS, Jimmy, and at 3/4 time, it looked like it was game on until the Giants just blew the game open by kicking the last 7 goals of the game. Yeah,
this was a really tough win from the Giants. I think a lot of people think they try and use their class first and then toughness, but I reckon they got it the right way around, Lloydie. 72 points from stoppages, which to me reflects their willingness to play in tight. The Kangaroos certainly took it up to them, and a very difficult side to beat down there, but just won it with real grit in the end.
That's what I love about the Giants, and I hope they can bring that to the table come the business end of the year, because they are a tough team. And North Melbourne, they're going to trouble a lot of teams in the run home. I think they're playing quite good football at the moment. It was on for young and old, but then the class, as Jimmy said, after half-time just come to the fore.
So was that style of play, Lordo, a missing link to what they've been offering in previous seasons?
They've just got to be able to bring it to the table on the MCG and on the big stage of finals time, because we know they can do it, because I've admired their toughness for a while. It's just sometimes they just have those, like against Hawthorn, when that style of game with the chipping around, they've got to be able to say, OK, this isn't the game we can play, and try and find a way to get back into the game.
Toby Greene's had a really interrupted year, came back into the team yesterday and was crucial. 3 goals amongst his 20 touches and just seizing the moment, Jimmy, which he's always done.
Yeah, we mentioned that word tough. We all know Toby Greene plays the game in a tough manner, and for a small to mid-sized forward, he certainly makes his teammates walk a little bit taller, but it's his willingness to put himself in the contest, but also the class to be able to finish across the half-forward line. Been All-Australian too, so I think sometimes we forget the quality of player and we focus on some other things about Toby's game, but he is just so important for the Giants if they are going to make that big run in September, Lloydie.
Is he the most important player, Lloydie? It's a star-studded lineup when you throw in Whitfield and Kelly and Canilio, and Taranto's in that conversation now, and you've got Cameron firing. I'd argue he's still the most important player.
I know Gary Lyon believes that, and he said that for a long time, but I'd still say there's others. Steve Canilio's been very good. Even Whitfield, what he brings to the table. It's hard to... Jeremy Cameron, if you lost Jeremy Bill Davis. So they've got a lot of stars at that club.
Yep. The passion of footy supporters is to the fore at the moment, and they're angry, aren't they? I think in a majority sense. So part of me can't believe we're having this debate, this conversation now around trying to improve the conditions and the aura in which supporters attend games, and it raised its head again on the weekend when security clearly had a crackdown at Marvel Stadium in the way they were patrolling aisles. Can I get your views on it as we just look at some of the vision out of the weekend game at Marvel Stadium?
Yeah, I think Michael Greene, the CEO of Marvel Stadium, was really good over the weekend, fronting the media, and I think the key word he used was balance, and I think they do need to get the balance right. Early in the season we had poor crowd behaviour where there was fighting. We've had crowds now yelling out things which are probably overstepping the mark to some, but this is a little bit too far. I'd rather them back on the concourse, sit there. If an incident happens, you can come and deal with it. We don't need them patrolling up and down and almost big brothering the crowd, watching them straight on. Just a bit of balance. We know it's a passionate game and fans are allowed to go on and show their passion.
I look forward to seeing how it's handled this week because, as I said, Jimmy's right. It's so easy to whack them for that, but they're only trying to limit and curb. And see if anyone's really about to get out of control, they say, oh, there's a security guard there now. So I think they're trying to do the right thing, probably just got it wrong on the weekend with a bit too over the top.
Yeah, I think the fans need to pull their heads in a little bit. Right. I think they're demanding too much out of this. All we're trying to do, I want to say we, the industry, is just trying to make it a better experience for everyone. Ben Stratton's got a few issues to deal with. Jimmy, you once sat on the Match Review office and he's got some issues starting with these pinchings of Orazio Fantasia.
Yeah, I think what it lacks lacked the most was awareness for me. He's the captain of the Hawthorn Footy Club. Friday night footy, we know there's so much extra focus on those games. And you go back to when they played Brisbane, when he was on Charlie Cameron. Now, as soon as Ben Stratton goes and gets a small forward, after the Charlie Cameron incident, the cameras are going to be zoomed in on you and they're going to watch every incident. So pinching, look, precincts will say there's been some fines, but we don't know. And that's the good thing about the tribunal. Get up and explain yourself, Ben. But the stomping one for me worries me a little bit more. As we see, that's the result of all the pinching going on. He was already starting to, well up with bruises there, Fantasia. But the stomping one could have caused some serious damage to McKernan when he's 90+ kilos and stomping down here, as we see.
So just have a look. It's Stratton's left foot here, as you can see on left of screen.
Yeah,
left foot now.
Like, that could have caused so much damage. And Ben Stratton doesn't need to do that. He's been an absolute star of those Hawthorn premiership sides, and that's why they made him captain. But he just had a really bad night.
I just wonder if he's not coping that well with the captaincy, Ben Stratton. I don't think his form's been as good, and you start resorting to moments like that. You're helpless in that situation. Part of me wanted Fantasia to put one on his chin, but he was smart enough to know, no, I'm just going to hurt my own team doing that. But you're in a situation where you can do nothing about it, and that's why it sort of makes my blood boil what Ben Stratton's done. I think he's now put his hand up and said, I've made a mistake. I don't think it'll ever happen again, Damo. But I'll say to you, could they ban him tonight, or they make a statement and say, if this ever happens again, it won't be a fine, it will be a weekly sanction?
I'd be banning him. I'd be banning him for a week for the pinching and a week for the stomping. Now, that's how I view both those incidents. Jimmy, you're the expert on this panel when it comes to former match review issues.
Yeah, I think he might get a week for the stomping because potential to cause serious injury. They've got that little asterisk. The pinching one, I don't know, but if you end up with a week both or 1 week and a fine, but there needs to be probably collectively maybe at least a week suspension.
There's an issue with umpires too in this whole thing. I mean, the Cameron one was highlighted at the time. We had an umpire laughing during it. Razor Ray Chamberlain there was aware of it and didn't do anything. And I think Alistair Clarkson needs to be put into this debate too. Why did he let him do it between round 11, then the bye, and then this week? Lordy, next 2 Thursday nights, Essendon has matches against West Coast and GWS. There's just a sense they're getting things together.
Yeah, I think they're playing quite well. But as I said, the jury, everyone's just waiting. They've got to 6-6, but they've beaten Carlton and the Hawthorn Football Club. But I liked what I've seen from them. They seem more organised. But I think even Dylan Shields said during a couple of weeks ago that we go well from a game style perspective against teams around us and below us, but it hasn't allowed us to go on and beat a good side. So that's why the Giants and West Coast the next 2 Thursday nights.
We're going to know pretty soon.
That's a test. And even if they win one of them, Damo, I think they're still in the hunt for finals.
The banter between Sydney Stack and Eddie Betts on Friday night overtook the result. Another good win by the Crows. We can trace it back 5 minutes earlier than what we've now sort of been led to believe is the great moment. This was Eddie in the same pocket, the Eddie Betts pocket, being smothered there by Stack. And you can see some exchange of words there. Again, all in good nature and all in competitive spirit. We then saw Eddie kick the amazing goal that he kicked to absolutely put the icing on the cake, and the two came together. Yeah,
and we just need a bit of context and perspective out of this. So the context being, as we said, Eddie Betts and Sydney Stack were, trash talking each other, as they say, and Sydney was saying, "Oh, you're not going to get one on me," and Eddie goes, "Yeah, I told you I was going to get one," which is fantastic. They know where the game's at. It's 4 minutes to go. The game is over. There's nothing wrong with showing a bit of personality. We want to see personality and just have a bit of perspective. The game is a lot of fun and we should be celebrating those moments.
Yeah, Lordy, you touched on the Dockers off the very top, and they did it the hard way against Port yesterday, didn't they? They did it at gritty, a bit like GWS, but then in the last quarter their stars came to the fore. That man, yet again, in Michael Walters. There was a lot to like about how this game unfolded.
There was, and that's why they've become, lots of people said they're boring. I remember KB saying, I don't even want to watch the Fremantle Dockers, but that's no longer the case, and I think that they've got the ability. They kicked 100 points, so they're putting scoreboard pressure on teams now, which they never were before. They've always had the stars, in my opinion, around the midfield, but now seeing Matera have somewhere to know where to go, Sean Darcy on Lysette and Ryder, and he got the job done. If he goes down, they got nothing else. So it was a big performance.
Was that his coming of age game? Is it too simplistic to say that?
Walters?
No, Darcy.
I think he's just lacked opportunity. I think if he's been injured, and also when you've had Sandilands there at the club, they're always going to pick Sandilands before him if he's fit.
It takes a special player to basically shape the results of 3 consecutive games, as Michael Walters has done. He did it again in this game. 6 goals to go with his best on-field display. Kicked them in the early stage of the game, kicked 2 in the last quarter, and for 3 weeks in a row now against Brisbane, Collingwood and now Port Adelaide, was the match winner.
He's an absolute star. I love watching him play. I love how he can go up into the midfield, and his ball use is first class. And you mentioned the name Matera. I think that helps and allows him to get up the ground. So Matera's kicked 21 goals in 10 games. So if you've got a small forward who can be damaging, you can release this guy up the field. And when he needs his rest, instead of putting him to the bench, he goes forward, and we know what a quality finisher he is.
Is he now, in your opinion, like a top 10? Is he a top 10 player in the game?
He can play like that. On the weekend, he's definitely a top 10 player. We're starting to see the consistency as well. He's certainly challenging the top 10 in my eyes.
Yeah, I think when you've been in a lesser team, it takes a long time for people to realise how good you are. I think he's been great for a long time. Now they're winning games. We're seeing just how good he is.
Just so good to watch. And as is the next man we're going to talk about, Charlie Curnow, who has clearly benefited from the interim coaching of David Teague.
Yeah, I think their willingness to play faster makes forwards move. Lloydie, you can talk about this better than me, but when they're willing to play a lot quicker up the ground, you don't get caught into just sort of standing there and putting your hand up. When Carlton were playing that slow chipping style across half-back, you don't move much as a forward, and I think he's one who's benefited because all of a sudden now you're live and you know the ball's coming to you, which this is all this guy needs. He needs a chance to show off his athleticism.
It was one of the biggest mysteries why he was so poor. I know he had a few niggles and things like that, Damo, but to me he looks freer in the mind, freer in the body, he looks happier as a result of the previous 2 weeks. So I'm not sure if there was issues between he and Brendan Bolton, or he was restricted with the way Bolton was managing him. But to me, he looks a different man under David Teague, and they're exciting to watch again with him on fire.
Can you see what Lloydie's talking about there, just the general freeing up?
Yeah, I think once you know that the game plan's freed up, but even to the individual being told to just go out and play and enjoy and run and jump at the footy, of course, for a player who plays that style of footy, it'd be a huge benefit.
A reminder about Virgin Australia's Footy Family campaign. For your chance to win a $2,000 travel voucher, tell us how you celebrate the game with the people closest to you.
Footy, they say, is a game of the people. Passionate tribes coming together. But zoom in. Within those tribes are our footy families, the ones we choose to share it with. So who's in your footy family?
And how do you and your footy family celebrate? Shoot a video, take a pic. Remember, a footy family can be anyone, a bunch of mates or whoever gets together with you to share the passion and love for the game. Go to afl.com.au/Footy Family for more details. In Townsville, the Saints came back from a 31-point deficit against the Suns, but it was looking diabolical for Alan Richardson and the team.
Yeah, well, you know the Suns are taking it up to sides at the moment. You have to genuinely beat the Suns these days. They're just not going to roll over. But look, the Saints beat them last time, when they desperately needed a loss on the last minute or so. But the Suns are just fatiguing for me, Lloydie. But the Saints, geez, they needed that win desperately.
And Jimmy, you defended Jack Billings last year when he had a lot of form issues. You said give him a go, and the faith you had in him, I think, is the same as the Saints ultimately had in him, and it's being reaped now, isn't it, with what he's putting together this year?
Yeah, you guys know I'm a fan of his. It's because I've seen him do it at the absolute top-notch, quality in the game. I've seen him have 30 disposals and kick 5 goals. You don't forget that sort of ability. He just needed opportunity to do it, and he needed to probably lift his work rate as well. So he played as a forward, and then they tried to throw him up to a wing. I think now they've found the balance of his time as the forward, but also an inside mid, because the guy can kick the footy, he knows how to kick it well to forwards, and he knows how to finish around goal.
Yeah, kicked 2 crucial last quarter goals. And you mentioned the Suns and how they're losing games, 9 in a row now. Started the year with a 3-win from 4-game winning streak, and that first of those 4 games to start the year was lost by a point. They've now split the close games decided by less than a goal by a 3-3 scoreline. It's not the worst season we've seen by a team down the bottom, is it?
But it must be getting you down. 9 in a row. And the teams they're losing to, the Dogs, Carlton, Melbourne, St Kilda, they're not great teams either. So they're the ones that you want to just win one every now and then. It just gives you a lift as a club. It's good that they didn't get belted though, but that's what concerns me, that 9 in a row, the bundle drops a little bit and they could have some beltings in the run home.
Time for the Access Big Ask, and this one's to both of you. Would you rather be repeatedly pinched or stomped on?
Can we have neither?
No, we answer the question.
I'll take a pinching, because I thought that'd nearly break my foot if it got stomped on that hard.
As Jim's like, it's neither, but I'd take the stomping, because being pinched all day is nothing worse.
Yep. Also to both of you, do you believe the Tigers can still win it?
I think they can play finals, but not win it.
No, they won't win it. No.
Yeah. Yep. Jimmy, to you, should the Hawks go for the draft or reload with trades and free agents like they've done the past decade?
I think it all depends where they actually end up finishing, because then their draft pick, and so then they can value, can they get a decent, trade that pick for a decent free agent? So it might be a mix of both.
Lloydie, 2019 stock we're dealing with here. Who are you buying, Fremantle or Adelaide?
Adelaide, because of Freo's injuries in the back half.
And Joffa's stance.
Oh, yeah, sorry, one for you. Yeah, Joffa's stance, Damo, not going to the footy. There's no apology coming from Gill. So is this the last we'll see of Joffa at an AFL game?
Well, it's up to Joffa, isn't it? I mean, he put it on the agenda last week. He didn't get the apology that he sought publicly. He needs to sort it out before the weekend because it was a bye weekend.
Yeah, it's very clever there by Joff. Take a bye with Collingwood. But, Lloydie, we like to find the lighter side of the game here. And Tex Walker on Thursday night, you just need to clean up for yourself because Nathan Broad had to come in later, as we'll see, and just pick up your rubbish, Tex.
Yeah, I don't know how Tex would feel about that now, whether Tex will not drop tape anymore. He would be a bit embarrassed that an opposition opponent of his in Broad has had to pick up his tape. We don't want trainers having to do that, so Tex, clean your act up.
And one from your Bombers the other night, Connor McKenna is certainly creative and exciting. Do you think this is sort of, he's using the solo as a balk here, or he just forgot what game he's playing?
I look forward to hearing from him over the next couple of days, whether he's just forgot what game he was playing, Damo, or he's actually trying to put off the young man more there.
It's just so instinctive, isn't it, what he does. Hey, Lloydie, this last part of the show used to be your domain. He's stolen it from you. I think you're reclaiming it.
I am reclaiming it because I know he loves some TV hang time.
Oh, yeah.
But you're not part of Fox Footy, Jim. So you're part of another network. Let's take a look at Jimmy on Thursday Night Football. Sarah Jones, Gaz doing their stuff. And watch this bit of hang time. It just didn't happen once. It happened again. So it didn't. One dose wasn't enough. It was another dose. So come on, Jim, stay with your network. You can't be across.
Yeah, there we go. Give it a nice smile.
He's like Eddie Maguire, Eddie everywhere.
A little drive-by, wasn't it?
Jimmy, Lloydie, thank you. And thank you for joining us on Access All Areas, brought to you by Virgin Australia. Have a good week and we'll see you next Monday. Goodbye.